welcome to this beginner's detox yoga flow. As we enter this new year, so we are in 2019, and I think that's really, really exciting. It is a great opportunity for you to start a yoga practice, or for you to really just start yoga from scratch if you're a complete beginner. But also as well, if you haven't done yoga in a while, it's really nice for you to come back to the yoga practice. So this is a great class to start you with, especially if you don't feel like you want to go to a yoga class just yet and you'd rather kind of do it from the comfort of your own home. This is really great to do that. We are going to be lengthening into the spine, stretching out the whole body. We're going to be getting into the center, so we're going to be detoxifying the body, so we'll see a lot of twists. And just go with the flow and listen to your body and listen to the breath. So the breath is the most important part of yoga. And if you feel like you're losing the breath, or if you feel like the posture's too much, you're always welcome to come out of the pose and come back into a child's pose just to refocus on the breath. But we'll take it easy, just to ease us into the yoga practice and into the new year, and hopefully you'll feel completely renewed and refreshed. So let's get started in a comfortable seated position. We'll just come into either a cross-legged seated position. You're also welcome to extend the legs out if you want to, but we'll come to seated. And just roll the shoulders up, back and down, away from the ears. Find lift and length into the spine. So imagine your spine is pressed against a wall. So you lean back ever so slightly. Length into the back of the neck. Your chin is slight towards the chest. And hands just place down onto the knees. And one of the hardest parts when you first start practicing yoga is just to close the eyes, focus on the stillness, focus on the breath, and that is exactly how we're going to begin. But just don't take it too seriously. Close off your eyes. And just allow yourself to be in this still position. Just notice how the body is feeling today, especially after all the festivities. And we'll just start to bring your awareness to your natural breath. So we're not trying to focus too deeply in the breath to start with. We're just focusing on how we naturally breathe. And where do you naturally breathe in the body? Do you naturally breathe into the lungs, into the ribs? Do you naturally breathe into the lower belly? Maybe into the back? And then just start to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose slowly. So starting to slow the breath down. So breathe in through the nose for 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. So this is our rhythm. So just continue that. Just a few rounds in your own time with your own breath. And just notice the smooth sound of the breath. As we move today, this breath just continues. And without the breath, our postures are not full of life. So we really want to fill each posture with life. So breathing into different spaces and areas in the body. And take one last big inhale through the nose. Just hold the breath at the top. And big exhale out through the nose. Really, really nice. And slowly just start to open through the eyes, maintaining that breath as easy as you can. And then inhale, reach both arms all the way up to the sky, gazing upwards towards the hands, palms touch. Exhale, palms float through heart center. We're going to take our left hand onto our right knee and then start to take that right arm back behind you. If at any point you feel that you're collapsing into the spine, really lift up through the spine. You might even take a block or a book to place that hand down, but maybe you place the fingertips onto the earth. Inhale, lengthen into the spine. So you really want to imagine that there's a piece of string pulling you all the way up from the crown of the head. And then exhale, we're going to twist. So our left shoulder is going to move to the center line of the body, and the right shoulder is going to turn back behind us. And then you inhale through the nose. Exhale, twist. Every inhale, you find a little bit more space. Every exhale, you find a twist. Take one last breath. Inhale through the nose. We'll do it together. Exhale, twist. Really nice. Slowly, slowly releasing. And we'll come back to our seated position. This time we'll take the right hand over towards the left knee. Left arm back behind you. Inhale, lift and lengthen into the spine. So again, if you feel that you're rounded and you're collapsing, maybe you sit on a block, or maybe you place a block back behind you, or a book. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, twist. So imagine here that you're almost wringing out a dishcloth. And that's exactly what's almost happening around the middle of the spine, and starting to get into some of the internal organs. It's really detoxifying for the body. So take one last inhale. Exhale, twist. And slowly, slowly just come back to center. Inhale, we'll reach both arms all the way up to the sky, gazing upwards towards the fingertips. And imagine that someone's pulling you from your fingertips all the way up to the ceiling, but you're really rooted down through your sit bones. So we're trying to create a lot of length, a lot of space into the spine. If you notice that your shoulders are up here, really drop them away from the ears. Feel the spreading from the shoulder blades, hugging in of the ribs. Take one last inhale. Exhale, walking the hands out in front of you. And this might be really, really tricky. You might have a lot of tightness into your hips, so just go wherever you need to. If your legs are lengthened and straight out in front of you, maybe you bend the knees. And just start to walk the hands forward. And just be wherever you feel that you need to be, as long as you're feeling a stretch into the hips, into the inner groin area. But you're keeping both sit bones rooted down onto the floor. Take a big inhale through the nose, lengthen into the spine, gaze forward. And then exhale, fold. And just relax the neck, relax the gaze. And we'll take 2 more breaths here. So inhale through the nose, exhale out. One last breath, inhale, breathing into the stretch. Big exhale out. And slowly walking the hands all the way back up to center. If you have one foot crossed in front of the other, just switch the cross of the legs. And this might feel a little bit strange. And if you've got your legs straight out in front of you, just keep them there. Inhale, reach both arms all the way up to the sky. So feel the lift and length through the side body as the palms come to touch overhead. Exhale, hands move through heart center. This time we'll take the right hand over towards the left knee, left arm back behind you. Inhale, lengthen into the spine, and exhale, start to twist. So we're going for our twist again. Just notice what's happening into the body. You want to feel this hugging in through the center line, so navel drawing towards spine. You find this lift in and up, so scooping up at the abdominals, and then start to find that deep twist. Take one last inhale. Exhale, slowly releasing, coming back to center. This time we'll take left hand onto right knee, right arm back behind you or onto the fingertips. Inhale, lengthen into the spine. Exhale, start to twist. You want to keep the hips completely square towards the front. The twist is really happening from the middle of the spine. And take one last breath. Inhale, finding length and space along the collarbones. And then exhale, just twist and wring everything out. And slowly releasing that. Inhale, we'll reach both arms all the way up to the sky. Gazing upwards towards the hands, shoulders drop away from the ears. So you want to create a lot of space and a lot of length into the back of the neck. And take one last breath. Inhale. And exhale, just start to walk the hands out in front of you. So we're going for our hip stretch on the opposite side, and this might feel a little bit different. You might notice that you have one hip that's a lot tighter than the other. Inhale, find length and space into the spine. So we're trying to straighten out the back. And we're trying to maintain this length as we fold forward. So you might walk with the fingertips slightly further out in front of you. Hips are planted and rooted down onto the earth as you take the forehead in between the forearms. And take one last breath. Remember, listen to your body, go wherever you need to be. And then slowly walk the hands back in. Rise back up to seated, really nice. We'll come into an all fours position, so just roll onto your hands and your knees. You should be facing the front of your mat. And then the knees are directly underneath the hips. The hands are spread wide into the mat, so you're trying to connect all 10 knuckles down onto the earth. The chest is moving forward. You're not trying to dump into the back or allow the shoulders to hike up towards the ears. You really want to press the floor away, so you're spreading between the shoulder blades. Core is engaged, tucking the tailbone under ever so slightly. And we'll go for a few rounds of cat and cow. So from here, inhale, start to drop through the belly, lifting upwards through the heart. So the tailbone is lifting high, the heart is moving forward. You're concaving into the spine, gaze is ahead. Exhale, rounding into the spine, press the floor away. So trying to create this curve. Inhale, find length and space. We'll do 4 more rounds. Exhale, pressing the floor away, rounding into the spine. So you're really hugging the ribs up. You're really connecting into center. 3 more rounds. Inhale, find length and space. Maybe this time you gaze forward, stretching out the throat. And then exhale, rounding into the spine. And 2 more rounds. Inhale, lift. And exhale, round. Last round, inhale, find lift, length and space. Exhale, contracting into center line, rounding into the spine. Come back to that neutral spine position. We're going to go for our first downward facing dog pose. Take it easy, I'll give you some different options. Placing the hands firmly down into the ground, we start in this tabletop position. Tuck the toes under, start to lift the knees off the ground, just hover them for a moment. Notice what happens to your core, notice the shakes, the wobbles in the body. And then start to extend the hips up to the sky. So pressing into the hands, the hips are lifting up to the sky, the crown of the head drops down towards the earth. So you're trying to create a lengthened spine. Keep the knees bent to start with. So you're creating this lengthened spine, then you might start to pedal out through the feet. But if you notice that you're almost in a plank pose and your shoulders are hiked up to the sky, keep those knees bent, keep sending the hips up towards the sky, keep sending the torso towards the thighs. And you might notice that you have a lot of tightness into the back of the legs, so pedaling out through the feet just to get some mobility into the back of the legs, maybe into the calves, and either staying in that bent knee position or starting to straighten out through the legs, but not losing that length and space into the spine. Most important part about downward facing dog is breathing. It is an inversion. So we are upside down in this pose because our head is below our heart. Take one last breath. Inhale. Exhale, look forward between the hands. We'll slowly step the feet to the front of the mat. So slow as possible, taking the heels down towards the ground. And take your feet hips width distance apart. So bend the knees, rest the torso onto the thighs. Take both of your knuckles and place them inside of your feet, and that's how wide your feet need to be. A little tip. So bending into the knees, rest the torso onto the thighs. You're trying to find length and space into the spine. Just relax the arms. And then you might relax the head. So this is our first forward fold. You might notice that you have a lot of tightness into the hamstrings, into the back of the legs, so just start to breathe into that space. If you notice that you're a little bit more flexible, you might start to straighten out through the legs, but we want to feel the stretch into the belly of the hamstring, not into the hamstring attachment, which is right at the top of the sit bone. And take one last breath, relaxing the arms, relaxing the head, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the face, the jaw. Lot to think about. Then bending into the knees, we'll roll up vertebrae by vertebrae, stacking through the spine. Head is the last thing to come up. And the shoulders just drop away from the ears, really nice. We're going to go for one round of a basic sun salutation. We're just going to do 1 or 2 rounds, we'll see how we go. So we're going to take the toes to touch, heels slightly apart. Hands come either side of the body, we're in our mountain position. And you don't want to collapse and round into the spine here, you want to lift and stand up tall. So this is our really great posture. This is posture, teaches you great posture for life. When you do a lot of mountain poses, it eventually just becomes natural to you, hopefully. But close off the eyes here. And then from here, take your hands through heart center. And palms pressed against each other, bowing chin towards chest. Just noticing stability within the body, noticing all the little muscles that support you throughout your life. Just in this simple standing position. Just allow yourself to refocus on the breath, refocus on the inhales, refocus on the exhales. And what I always really like to do every time I practice yoga and every time I teach yoga is to set an intention for our practice. So our collective intention today as beginners is just to focus on the breath. So the inhales, the exhales, breathing into the pose, listening to the body. Slowly take a big inhale through the nose. Big exhale out. We'll open through the eyes. Inhale, sweep both arms all the way up to the sky, gazing upwards towards the hands, palms touch. Exhale, palms move through heart center, or hands come onto the hips, especially if you have any lower back issues. Bend into the knees and start to hinge from the hips. We'll come into our forward fold. So we're coming back to this forward fold, relaxing through the head and placing the hands down towards the earth. They don't need to touch the ground, but try and get them down onto the mat. Bend the knees a lot more. Inhale, lengthen into the spine. Hands come onto the shins. Exhale, planting the hands down into the floor. We're going to step back into a high plank pose. So step the right foot back first, come into a lunge. Step the left foot back, high plank. In this high plank, you want the shoulders directly on top of the wrists. You don't want the hips to pike up to the sky. You really want to create one long line of energy from the crown of the head all the way through to the heels. You want to feel a lot going on into the center. If you need to, you're welcome to drop the knees down to the ground, tuck the toes under. Take one last breath, building a lot of strength. Notice if there's any shakes or wobbles in the body. And then everyone, if you're in a high plank pose, complete full plank, drop the knees down to the floor. We're going to look forward beyond the hands, shift the weight slightly forward over the wrists, bend into the elbows, so really allow the elbows to move back behind you as you lower the chest down to the ground. Just stay here for a moment. Hands plant directly underneath the shoulders. Inhale, lift up, cobra. So we're just starting to just lengthen and extend through the spine. If you notice your elbows popping out to the side, hug those elbows in. Chest is expansive. Back of the neck is long. And then slowly lower the chest down to the mat. Exhale. Press the hands down into the floor. But press the earth away from you as you send the chest up off the ground. Send the hips back to the heels. We'll come into a child's pose just for a moment. Take a big inhale. Big exhale. And plant the hands down to the floor. We'll tuck the toes under. Start to send the hips up and back. We're coming back into our downward facing dog. You want to outwardly rotate the shoulders away from the ears. Again, if you need to have that bend into the knees, please do so. But remember to breathe. We'll take one last breath. Exhale. Look forward in between the hands. We'll step our feet to the front of the mat. Toes to touch, heels slightly apart. Inner thighs engaged. Inhale, lengthen into the spine. Feel free again to bend those knees as you lengthen. Exhale, fold. Relax the head. Bend the knees. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up to the sky, gazing upwards towards the hands, palms touch. And then exhale slowly. Hands come through heart center. That was one sun salutation A. We're just going to do a second round of a sun salutation A, but this time it's going to be slightly faster so we can start to find the flow of things and just start to get into the postures. Now you sort of know where we're going. So we'll start in our mountain position again. Inhale, reach both arms all the way up to the sky, gazing upwards towards the hands, palms touch. Exhale, hands move through heart center, all hands come onto the waist, hinging from the hips with a flat back, with the bent knees if you need to. Relax the head. Hands come down onto the floor. Inhale, hands come onto the shins, lengthen into the spine. So a lot of space into the chest. Exhale, planting the hands down to the floor, stepping both feet back into your high plank, either knees onto the ground or this full high plank. Exhale, drop the knees to the ground, shift the weight slightly forward over the wrist, bending into the elbows. We'll lower the chest all the way down onto the ground. Try and do that slowly and controlled. Inhale, press into the hands. We'll lift the chest up, cobra, lightly landing. Exhale, lower the chest. Press the hands into the ground. We'll send the hips towards the heels, child's pose. Take a breath. And then we'll tuck the toes under, send the hips all the way up and back into our downward facing dog. If you notice that your downward facing dog is too wide, walk the feet closer towards the hands. Let's take 2 more breaths in this downward facing dog, whichever version. Remember, you're always welcome to come back into that child's pose if you need to. Let's take one last breath together. Inhale through the nose. And exhale out through the nose. Look forward in between the hands. We'll step the feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, hands come onto the shins, lengthen into the spine. Remember, bent knees if you need to. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, reach both arms all the way up and out to the side. And palms touch. And exhale, hands back through heart center. Nice. Let's get into some warrior flows. So we're going to go into a warrior sequence, which is going to take us all the way around our mat, get into a little bit of balancing too. Go with it. We'll keep our left foot where it is. And from here, step the right foot back. So we're turning to the side of our mat. Our left foot is facing forward. Our right foot is facing towards the side of the mat. And take your hands onto the hips. You almost have a leg's length distance here between both of your heels. Back leg is straight, front leg is straight. Hands come onto the hips. We'll inhale, extend outwards through the arms, gaze forward over the front middle finger. Ribs are hugging in and up. Expansion through the chest, gaze forward. Exhale, we're simply just going to bend into this front knee. And you just want to notice what's happening to that front knee. Is the knee closing inwards? Is it going too far outwards? Are you rolling on that front foot? Keep it directly stacked on top of the ankle. You want to find a 90-degree bend into this front foot as you expand up through the arms. Drop those shoulders away from the ears, gaze forward. Take one last inhale. Exhale. From here, flip the front palm up towards the sky, and inhale, we're going to reverse our warrior. So bending deeply into the front knee, nothing is going to change into the legs. We'll take the right hand onto the shin, or maybe the thigh, never the knee joint. Inhale, just start to lean back towards the back wall behind you. And take one last breath. Exhale, coming back to that warrior 2. Let's take side angle. Taking the left elbow onto the left knee. Inhale, right arm reaches either up to the sky or all the way up and over by the ear. With these standing poses, just try and find your stability. Try and find your balance, and if you come out and you wobble or you fall, that's fine, just come back into the pose. And take one last breath. You're always welcome to gaze down to the side or all the way up to the sky. And gazing down to the floor, inhale, start to rise all the way back up to center. We'll straighten out through this front leg this time. Hands go onto the hips, just check that they're still square. Inhale, lift the arms out, gaze forward, hinging from the hips. You're welcome to have a slight bend into the front knee too. We're trying to lengthen through the left side body. Place the left hand down onto the shin or the ankle. Inhale, right arm reaches all the way up to the sky. We're in our triangle pose, Trikonasana. Really anchor down through that front foot. Really imagine that that back heel is pressing into a wall and you're firing up that back hip. Take one last breath, you've got this. Exhale, gazing down towards the floor. Inhale, start to rise all the way up to standing. We'll angle the left toes inwards, right toes inwards, and we'll turn it to the side of the mat. We're going to go for a goddess squat. So turn the toes outwards, the heels are slightly inwards. The knees are going to bend over the same direction as the ankles as you send the hips down to the ground. And the spine is straight and long. Hands move through heart center. Imagine here that you're hugging a big beach ball in and up and you're finding this lift through the center line. And just close off your eyes here. We're going to hang out for a little bit. Focus on your breath. Everyone always loves this pose, so I always like to stay in this posture just a little bit longer. And take one last breath. It's all about the breath. To sustain each pose, fill the posture with life. Nice. And then we'll straighten out through the legs. Hands come onto the hips, angle the toes inwards, heels slightly outwards, slight bend into the knees. We're going to go for a wide-legged forward fold. Hands come onto the hips. Inhale, lift and lengthen into the spine. So you're leaning back ever so slightly. Exhale, hinging from the hips. Start to melt the chest down to the ground. And take the hands down onto the floor directly underneath the shoulders. Again, if you need those books or if you need those blocks, please feel free to take them. Inhale, lengthen into the spine, gaze forward. Exhale, folding inwards. And you're trying to hang the head loose down towards the earth, so you're relaxing the head. The shoulders are lifting up towards the sky, so they're rolling away from the ears. The hips are even in space. And just breathe into the back of the legs. If you have a little bit more range of flexibility, you might start to straighten out through the legs, but you want to try and maintain that flat, straight back. Take one last inhale, you've got this. Exhale. Bend the knees, hands come onto the hips. You need to do a really big inhale for this next bit. Big inhale through the nose as you rise up. Just standing. Yeah, sometimes you can feel a little bit lightheaded. Just really focus on the breath. From here, we're going to turn the right toes towards the back of the mat, and our heels are still aligned with each other. If you need to widen or shorten your stance, please do so. Inhale, lift the arms out to the side, gazing forward over the front middle finger, so the right middle finger this time. Bending into the right knee, we're coming into our warrior two. If you notice that you're sticking the bum out back behind you, lengthen into the spine, lengthen the tailbone down towards the floor, find lift, and then allow yourself to just melt into the pose. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. One last breath. Inhale. Exhale. Warrior poses are really fiery poses. Flip the front palm up to the sky. Inhale, reverse your warrior. So this time we're reaching the right arm all the way up and back. Left hand plants onto the shin, maybe to the thigh. And the right arm just sweeps all the way up and over by the ear. Gaze down to the side or all the way up to the sky. Take one last breath. Inhale. Exhale, slowly coming back, warrior two. Or straighten out through the front leg, just for a moment. Then rebend the front knee, elbow comes onto the knee. Inhale, left arm reaches up to the sky, all the way up and over by the ear, side angle. Trying to find as much length and space into the left side body as possible. And take one last breath, always breathing. Exhale, gaze down towards the floor. Inhale, start to rise all the way back up, warrior two. And straighten out the front leg. It gets a nice little release for that thigh. We're going to go for our triangle pose. So hands come onto the hips. Hips are square towards the side, shoulders square towards the side. Gaze forward over that right foot, extending the arms all the way out, hinging from the front of the hips. So imagine someone's pulling you from your right arm. Right arm plants down. Inhale, left arm reaches up to the sky. You don't want to dump lots of weight into that right hand, so lift up and out through the waist as you turn the chest. Breathe, inhale. Exhale, take one last breath, inhale. Exhale, gaze down towards the floor. Inhale, start to rise all the way back up to center. This time we'll angle the toes inwards, heels slightly outwards. Look forward, back to the front of the mat, and we'll just step into a standing position. Just shake out the legs for a moment. Just notice how the body is feeling. Hands move through heart center. Take a big inhale through the nose. Big exhale out. Two more. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out. Last time, big inhale. Big exhale. And slowly open through the eyes. Let's go for a little bit of balancing with an option for a twist, just to get into the body a little bit. From here, shift the weight into the left foot and start to hug the right knee into the chest. You might notice that you completely fall out of it straight away. You might notice that you hold just for a moment. Wherever you are in this balancing pose, it is completely fine. Gaze down towards the ground at something that's not moving. That helps with balance, and breathing also helps with balance. You're welcome to stay here. If you want a little bit more, take the right hand onto the hip and the left hand outside of that right knee and just start to twist towards that right standing leg. It is a little bit tricky. Definitely with balance, this one. You can keep the hand onto the hip, or you can extend it back behind you. Take one last breath. Smile. If you fall, please try and have a bit of a sense of humour. And we'll slowly come back to centre. Toe tap, so just tap that right foot down to the ground, just for a moment. Hug the right knee back into the chest. Bend into the left knee, start to extend that right leg back behind you. We're coming into a warrior three. So here, you want to extend through the crown of the head, extend out through the heel. You're welcome to keep that left knee bent, or maybe start to straighten it. Hands come onto the hips, guide that right hip down towards the ground. And breathe, and the foot might just be a few inches off the ground, and you might just work with toe tapping, hovering it for a moment, tapping it back down, or maybe arms go alongside the body. Take one last breath. Inhale, slowly come back to standing. Woohoo! I definitely threw you into that one. Hands come through heart center. Just recenter yourself. Take a big inhale. Big exhale. From here, shift the weight into the right foot. We get to do it all over again on the other side. Because we have two legs, hug the left knee into the chest. Stand up tall. Take a moment here. Find your balance. Remember, if you fall out of it, just come back into it. Give it a go. And try and breathe. And take one last breath. Feel free to stay here. Or take the left hand onto the left hip. Right hand comes outside of the left knee, and just start to twist really, really slowly, really, really carefully. Just twist towards that left leg. Ooh, even I'm wobbling. And then extend that left arm, maybe back behind you, or keep it onto the hip. Revolve the chest. For one last breath. Ooh. And slowly come back to center. And either staying here or bending into the right knee. Extend the arms onto the hips, flexing into that back foot. Crown of the head moves forward. Heel is moving back behind you. Guide that left hip so it's in line with the right hip. Warrior 3. Breathe. Take one last breath. Exhale, slowly releasing. Shake out the legs. And then inhale, reach both arms up to the sky. We're going to make it down onto the floor. Exhale, hands move through heart center, hinge from the hips. Forward fold. So again, bend the knees if you need to, relax the head. You might notice from all of these forward folds that we have done that you've got a little bit more space into the back of the legs. Inhale, lengthen into the spine, hands come onto the shins. Exhale, planting the hands down to the floor, step both feet back into a downward facing dog. So we'll completely step back into a downward facing dog. We'll drop the knees to the floor, send the hips towards the heels, toes touch. Child's pose. And take a big breath in. Big breath out. We'll just go for a simple twist in this child's pose. Inhale, reach the right arm up to the sky, gazing upwards. Exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left arm. The right temple plants down onto the earth. Maybe you keep left arm out in front of you. And finding this twist. Maybe left arm reaches all the way up to the sky if you want a little more. And take one last breath. Exhale, left hand plants down to the floor, right hand plants down onto the ground, back to that child's pose. Inhale, left arm reaches all the way up to the sky. Exhale, left arm threads underneath the right. Just finding that twist. Relaxing the head down to the floor if you can. You're also welcome to place it onto a block. And maybe staying here, or right arm reaches up to the sky. Take one last breath. And then exhale, slowly releasing. Vertebrae by vertebrae, just roll up to a seated kneeling position. I'm going to extend both legs out in front of you, coming into a seated position. So we're really going to start to wind down into and finally entering our relaxation. So from here, slight bend into the knees, lift upwards through the spine. Hands come either side of the body. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Just close off your eyes. This is our mountain position. Seated. And take a few moments refocusing on the breath and sitting up tall. And slowly open through the eyes. We're going to go for our first seated forward fold. Inhale, reach both arms all the way up to the sky. And then exhale, walking the hands either side of the legs. We'll go for a forward fold. So hands can be either down onto the floor. Maybe place hands onto the feet. Inhale, lift and lengthen into the spine. And then exhale, just fold over the legs. And breathe and just notice wherever you need to be. So you might still be completely seated upright, and that's fine. And take 2 more breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the nose. 1 last breath. Inhale. And exhale. Try and find the smooth breath. And then slowly we'll come up to seated position. Place the sole of the right foot down onto the floor. We'll place the right foot over that left leg. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, take that right arm back behind you. Maybe block, maybe fingertips, maybe all the way down onto the floor. Flexing into the left foot, energy through that left leg. Inhale, left arm reaches all the way up to the sky. Create space. And exhale, just hug that right knee into the chest as we find a twist. And you might gaze forward, gaze to the side, or gaze all the way back behind you. For every inhale, you find length. Every exhale, you find a twist. And take 1 last breath. And slowly release, come back to center. We'll just counter rotate to the opposite side, relax the head. And slowly extending both legs out. And this time we'll take the sole of the left foot, hug it into the chest just for a moment, and then place that left foot over the right leg. And then hands come onto the knees. Inhale, lengthen into the spine. Exhale, left arm back behind you. Inhale, right arm reaches all the way up, finding a lot of strength, a lot of length. And then exhale, hug the knee into the chest and find a twist. Use the breath to help you find a deeper twist into the spine. A lot more length. So every inhale we're lengthening, every exhale we're twisting. Hugging everything into center line. Take 1 last inhale. And then exhale, slowly, slowly release. We'll counter rotate to the opposite side, relax the head. And just coming back to center, we'll take the soles of the feet together, knees come out wide. Let's go for a diamond shape. And place the hands onto the shins. Inhale, lift and lengthen into the spine. Heart is open. And then exhale, fold forward. And you're always welcome to place blocks underneath the knees. If you need that extra support for the thighs, again, just go wherever you need to. It doesn't matter what the pose looks like, it matters what it feels like. And taking 1 last inhale through the nose. And big exhale, just release, finding a little bit more space within the body. And slowly, slowly come up to seated and place the soles of the feet down onto the floor. Shoot the hips slightly further towards the heels. Extend the arms all the way out in front of you, and slowly we're going to roll down onto our back. So using your core here as you lower down. And we'll go for lower back, middle back, upper back. Hug both knees into the chest. Once you get there, give yourself a squeeze, maybe a rock from side to side. Let's go for a happy baby pose. So flexing into the feet, take the hold of the backs of the knees and place the knees into the outer upper arms. You might stay here, you might take hold of the feet if you can take hold of the feet, or keep the hands onto the back of the knees. Try to imprint the whole spine down onto the mat. Take 1 last breath. Inhale. Exhale, release, hug both knees into the chest. We're going to enter our final resting pose, Shavasana. This is what we have all been waiting for. Extend out through the right leg, extend out through the left leg. If it feels too uncomfortable for you to stay with the legs extended out, you're welcome to place soles of the feet down onto the floor and stay here. Or extend both legs out. We want to relax the legs, the ankles just drop out to the side, the feet drop out to the side, hands lift up towards the sky, and they're not directly out from the shoulders, they're slightly further inwards. And just wiggle around so you feel comfortable. And take a big inhale through the nose. Make this the biggest breath of your day so far. Really fill the breath up. Hold the breath at the top. And big, slow, long exhale out through the mouth. Release. And if any thoughts just start to arise, just focus back on the breath. So noticing where the breath is moving in the body. Our breath has now returned back to its natural state of breath. Notice if the breath is moving into the chest. Maybe start to direct the breath down into the lower belly. So as you inhale, you're expanding into the lower belly. And as you exhale, slowly releasing the breath. If you notice any thoughts arising, just allow them to be there just for a moment, but then allow them to float by almost like a cloud. And just return your attention back to the breath. And slowly, whenever you're ready, just start to bring your awareness back to your breath. Deep inhale and deep exhale. And slowly just start to wiggle through the fingers and the toes. On a gentle inhale, reach both arms all the way up and overhead. Find a full body stretch. And hug both knees into the chest. Give yourself a squeeze, maybe a rock from side to side. And just rock all the way over to your right side. You might keep the right hand placed down onto the floor. Maybe use it as a pillow. In this fetal position, bent knees. And slowly, when you're ready, we'll just come up to a seated position. Just as we starting to open out through the eyes. Just place your hands through heart center, bowing your chin slightly towards your chest. Take a big inhale through the nose, filling the body up. Big exhale out. And just give yourself some gratitude for the time that you've spent on your yoga mat today, for just trying something new, for going with the flow, for focusing on the breath. And it does get a lot easier as you get to know the poses. And slowly open through the eyes. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope this has set you up for a wonderful year. And thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for having me as your yoga teacher today. I bow deeply to you all. Namaste. And thank you all so much. Namaste means my light shines within your light. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and also please let me know how you got on in the comments below. Thank you.